An absolute, high-stakes legal nuclear bomb just detonated directly across the West Coast media landscape, and federal courtrooms are currently bracing for impact. We thought podcast beefs were just harmless internet entertainment, but what trap icon Future just unleashed against music executive Wack 100 has officially sent shockwaves through the entire hip-hop underworld. Following the explosive federal indictment of legendary West Coast figure Big U, where sensitive street conversations and old Clubhouse audio recordings were officially cited by federal prosecutors, Future decided he had reached his absolute limit. The Atlanta superstar's legal powerhouse just issued a terrifying, multi-million-dollar federal defamation lawsuit threat against Wack 100. Future publicly branded Wack 100's viral story, claiming Future was chased through LAX airport and extorted in front of his ex-fiancée Sierra as a pure, fabricated, malicious lie. But it gets so much worse, with federal investigators actively weaponizing podcast audio in the Big U RICO case. Future's legal counterattack has thrown Wack 100 and the entire West Coast podcast network into a state of total, unadulterated panic. Stay right where you are, because what Future's attorneys filed at the 5-minute mark changes everything forever. To truly comprehend the catastrophic, life-altering magnitude of this war, you have to look at the deeply volatile intersection between West Coast street politics, federal courtrooms, and modern podcast culture. This isn't just basic internet trash talk. This is a high-stakes clash where wild claims made on social media streams are colliding directly with active federal RICO indictments. On one side, you have Nevadius Demon Cash, globally known as Future, the undisputed Pluto of modern trap music. For over a decade, Future has maintained an untouchable, legendary status in the music industry. He built an empire on chart-topping hits, multi-platinum albums, and an aura of quiet, cool, street-certified dominance. Future rarely engages in messy internet beefs. He operates in silence, lets his music handle the metrics, and protects his brand with a high-powered corporate and legal infrastructure. On the other side stands cash boss Wack 100, one of the most outspoken, polarizing, and feared music executives in hip-hop. As the manager of major artists and a dominant personality on platforms like Clubhouse, 100K Track, and various podcasts, Wack 100 built a massive media presence on raw, unfiltered, controversial storytelling. Wack 100 is famous for dropping alleged street secrets, breaking down unwritten gang codes, and claiming to hold private receipts on everyone in the industry. The quiet tension between Future and the West Coast media apparatus had been simmering for years, but it exploded into public consciousness following Wack 100's infamous Clubhouse broadcasts. Wack 100 went on a viral tirade, alleging a wild, cinematic story involving Future, legendary Rollin' 60s figure Eugene, Big U, Henley, and Future's ex-fiancée, pop superstar Sierra. According to Wack 100's viral claims, several years ago, an alleged street altercation broke out at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX. Wack claimed that Big U and his affiliates confronted Future inside the terminal, allegedly chasing the Atlanta rapper through the airport and extorting him for money and street clearance in Los Angeles right in front of Sierra. For years, this story circulated through West Coast blogs and reaction channels as an urban legend, with Wack 100 routinely bringing it up to question Future's street credibility. Future privately despised the narrative, maintaining that the story was a completely fictional fantasy invented by Wack 100 to farm internet clicks and build his podcast clout. But Future chose not to dignify the rumor with a response, trusting that his fans and the industry knew the truth. However, the entire dynamic changed overnight when federal prosecutors from the Department of Justice unsealed a sweeping RICO indictment against Big U and several West Coast associates. The federal court documents didn't just list street offenses. They revealed that federal agents had been systematically archiving, wiretapping, and transcribing hours of public podcast broadcasts, Clubhouse audio rooms, and internet streams. Federal prosecutors explicitly referenced statements made on digital platforms regarding street taxes, celebrity extortion, and Los Angeles venue clearances as supporting evidence for the government's RICO narrative. Suddenly, Wack 100's wild airport chase story was no longer just harmless internet gossip. It was being cited, analyzed, and weaponized inside federal court papers, potentially dragging Future's name into an active, high-profile federal prosecution. Future's legal team realized that silence was no longer an option. The fake story had crossed from internet drama into federal legal exposure. The fuse was lit, the line was drawn, and Future was preparing to launch a surgical legal strike designed to permanently silence Wack 100. The legal explosion officially detonated at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It didn't start with a diss song or an angry Instagram rant. It arrived via an official, high-priority legal notice dispatched from Future's elite corporate law firm in Atlanta directly to Wack 100's legal representatives and media network. The formal legal notice was accompanied by a rare, public statement issued directly by Future's lead trial attorney. For years, Mr. Cash has turned a blind eye to the fiction, exaggeration, and fabricated stories spread by internet commentators seeking viral attention. The statement read, its tone ice-cold and uncompromising. However, when false narrative creation involves manufactured claims of criminal extortion, fake airport chases, and malicious lies involving Mr. Cash's family, and when those lies are weaponized in public court filings, the boundary between entertainment and illegal defamation has been crossed. The statement officially announced that Future's legal team had prepared a massive, multi-million-dollar federal defamation, slander, and intentional infliction of emotional distress lawsuit against Wack 100 personally. The internet went into pure, uncontrolled, chaotic shock. The legal notice was shared across X, Instagram, and TikTok, generating over 35 million impressions in under 2 hours. Future's legal team laid out a ruthless, bulletproof breakdown proving the LAX airport chase story was 100% fake. The filing included certified travel records, flight manifests, airport security logs, and sworn affidavits from private security personnel who accompanied Future and Sierra during every single trip through Los Angeles International Airport during the years in question. The documents conclusively proved that no such altercation, pursuit, or extortion event ever took place. Mr. Cash was never chased through LAX, the filing explicitly declared. Mr. Cash was never extorted by Big U or any affiliate in front of Miss Sierra or anyone else. The entire story is a complete, malicious invention fabricated by Mr. Cash's legal targets for commercial exploitation and digital monetization. Read that again. Future didn't just call Wack 100 a liar. He brought out certified airport travel logs and sworn legal affidavits to legally dismantle the story in federal court. The optics were completely terrifying for the podcast world. For years, media figures operated on the assumption that they could tell wild street stories about artists without facing real corporate or legal consequences. But Future was setting a precedent that threatened to hold podcast executives financially liable for every story they told on stream. Inside Wack 100's camp in Los Angeles, panic immediately broke out. Sources close to Wack's digital media team reported that emergency meetings were held with network attorneys as soon as the federal lawsuit notice arrived. Wack 100, known for never backing down from a fight, decided to go live on social media to address the threat. Sitting in his studio, wearing his signature sunglasses, Wack tried to maintain his usual aggressive demeanor, but his voice carried an unusual, noticeable edge of tension. Future and his lawyers can file whatever they want. Wack 100 yelled into the camera, waving his hand dismissively. I talk about what happens in the streets. I don't care about no travel logs. LAX is public property. Big U is my brother, and the streets know what happened. You can't sue somebody for telling street history. Wack tried to reframe Future's lawsuit as a weak, corporate move by a rapper running to the courts because he couldn't handle street commentary. Wack claimed that he had witnesses who were present at LAX who would testify in defense of his story. You bringing lawyers into street talk. Wack sneered into the stream. You mad because your name is in the federal paperwork. Don't get mad at me, get mad at the feds. It was supposed to be a classic, defiant Wack 100 response. But just as Wack finished his live stream, an unexpected, catastrophic twist dropped that turned his brave speech into an absolute disaster. A prominent federal legal news outlet published a verified, leaked memorandum originating from inside the federal prosecutor's office handling the big RICO case. The leaked memo revealed that federal prosecutors had officially issued a formal subpoena for all unedited podcast audio and private messages between Wack 100, Big U, and various media hosts regarding the LAX story. The federal government wasn't just observing the beef. They were using Future's defamation lawsuit filing as legal justification to seize Wack 100's private communications. The revelation sent shockwaves through the entire West Coast media ecosystem. Wack 100's attempt to brush off Future's lawsuit had inadvertently triggered a federal subpoena that placed his own private records directly into the hands of FBI agents. Panicked messages began circulating among West Coast podcasters, with several hosts privately scrubbed old episode archives containing stories about Big U, Future, and street tax clearances. Wack 100 was trapped in a total nightmare. If he continued to defend the LAX story in court, he risked perjuring himself against Future's certified airport logs. But if he admitted the story was fake, he destroyed his own credibility and faced massive financial damages in Future's defamation suit. The news of the federal subpoena and Future's bulletproof travel logs triggered a digital earthquake across the hip-hop landscape. Reaction channels, legal blogs, and music commentators went into complete overdrive, analyzing whether Future's legal strike would permanently alter how podcasts cover street politics. The hashtags #FutureSuesWack, #LAXFakeStory, and #BigUrico were trending at the top of every major platform. Then came the second, massive unexpected twist that escalated this war into a high-stakes corporate legal thriller. At 2:30 p.m., an investigative reporter published a bombshell report revealing that Future's legal team had executed a secondary, brilliant corporate legal maneuver. Future's attorneys had officially served formal third-party liability notices to the parent companies and advertising sponsors of the podcasts where Wack 100 told the fake LAX story. The legal notices explicitly informed major corporate advertisers and podcast distribution platforms that by monetizing, distributing, and running advertisements over defamatory, fabricated stories involving criminal extortion, they were actively participating in corporate defamation and tortious brand damage against Future. Read that again. Future didn't just sue Wack 100. He officially targeted the advertising revenue and platforms that pay Wack 100. The impact was immediate and devastating. Within 3 hours of receiving the legal notices, 2 major corporate podcast sponsors announced they were immediately pausing their advertising deals with Wack 100's media network pending legal review. Future had effectively cut off the financial pipeline that funded the very platforms where the stories were being told. DJ Academics jumped on his stream to analyze the terrifying corporate move, visibly shocked by the precedent Future was setting. "Y'all don't understand what Future just did." Academics shouted into his microphone. Future didn't drop a diss track. He went straight to the advertisers. He showed them certified airport logs, proved the story was fake, and told the sponsors, "If you fund this lie, you're getting sued too." Advertisers are pulling out. This is corporate checkmate. The internet completely exploded. Memes depicting Future as a cold-blooded corporate lawyer standing over a closed podcast studio flooded TikTok and X. Inside Wack 100's camp, absolute panic took over. Network executives and co-hosts were reportedly furious, pleading with Wack to settle the matter with Future privately before more sponsors pulled their backing. Driven to the absolute edge, Wack 100 launched a late-afternoon Instagram post attempting to minimize the financial damage. He posted a video sitting in his car, trying to laugh off the lost sponsorships. "They think they can starve me out," Wack yelled. "I built this network from nothing. A couple sponsors pulling out ain't stopping nothing. I got real bag behind me." But right as Wack posted his defense, Future's team delivered a single, terrifying one-sentence response through a major legal trade publication that left the entire industry frozen in suspense. "We will not discuss settlement terms until Mr. Cash receives a full, public, court-sanctioned retraction and apology broadcast on every platform where the lie was told." The threat was total humiliation. Future wasn't just demanding money. He was legally demanding that Wack 100 go on camera and publicly admit to the world that he lied. The global media landscape went into an absolute, unprecedented frenzy as the legal war reached its peak. The culture was fiercely divided, creating one of the most intense online debates of the year. On one side, #Team Future and music fans celebrated what they viewed as a long overdue reality check for modern podcast culture. Fans flooded social media, praising Future for using his resources to hold commentators accountable for spreading dangerous, unverified rumors. Future just saved the rap game from podcast cap, one viral tweet with over 180,000 likes read. People have been going on streams, lying on artists' names for clout for 5 years. Future brought out certified airport logs and ended the whole game. On the opposing side, #Team Wack and hip-hop purists argued that Future was overreacting and bringing corporate lawsuits into street commentary, warning that suing managers and commentators creates a dangerous precedent of censorship. Wack 100 was just talking about street history, an influential podcast host argued. Bringing federal lawyers, suing sponsors, and demanding public apologies is corny. Future is trying to use his millions to silence West Coast media. Major podcast hosts and media personalities went into total radio silence, quietly auditing their old video uploads to ensure they hadn't repeated Wack 100's LAX story on their own channels. Legal analysts appeared on news channels to break down the defamation suit, admitting that Future's inclusion of certified flight logs made his case one of the strongest celebrity defamation claims in recent memory. The public was reaching an absolute boiling point, hanging on every notification, waiting to see if Wack 100 would swallow his pride and apologize, or if he would risk total financial destruction in federal court. Just when the world believed this high-stakes legal war had reached its absolute standstill, a brand new, jaw-dropping revelation dropped that completely flipped the entire story into dangerous, uncharted territory. At 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, an official court update surfaced from the federal clerk's office handling the Big U RICO case in Los Angeles. The court filing revealed that Big U's criminal defense team had officially submitted an emergency motion requesting that the federal judge compel Future TO testify as a defense witness in the upcoming RICO trial. Big U's defense team argued that since Future's legal filings explicitly proved that no extortion or LAX chase ever occurred, Future's sworn testimony is required in federal court to dismantle the government's claims that Big U engaged in celebrity extortion rackets. Read that again. Future's attempt to clear his name via a defamation suit against Wack 100 had inadvertently resulted in him being called to testify in a federal RICO trial. The realization hit the culture like an atomic bomb. Future is now caught in the ultimate legal trap. If he refuses to testify, he risks leaving the RICO narrative open, but if he takes the stand, he becomes a key witness in a high-stakes federal trial involving legendary West Coast figures. Sources close to Future report that upon learning of the federal defense subpoena, Future's legal team immediately called an emergency, closed-door strategy session. As the news swept across the internet, Wack 100 posted a final, 6-second video on his Instagram story. He was sitting in his studio, smiling a slow, sinister smile, tapping a copy of the federal court docket. Wack 100 didn't say a single word. He simply pointed at the subpoena line bearing Future's government name, let out a low laugh, and let the screen fade to dark black. This is no longer just a podcast feud or a defamation lawsuit. This is a total, historical federal legal maze. Will Future find a way to dodge the federal witness stand and defeat Wack 100 in court, or has his lawsuit dragged him directly into the biggest West Coast trial of the decade? Stay locked in, because part 2 of this historic legal war is dropping next, and the culture will never be the same. We are watching absolute history unfold in real time, and this legal war between Future, Wack 100, and federal courtrooms has officially reached a terrifying, historic peak. Now I want to hear directly from you. Do you think Future was completely justified in filing a federal defamation lawsuit and targeting Wack 100's podcast sponsors over the fake LAX story? Or did Wack 100 push things too far with his viral stories? Will Future be forced to testify in the Big U federal RICO trial? Drop your raw, unfiltered thoughts in the comments section right now. I am going to be down in the comments replying to the best responses over the next couple of hours, so let's get the debate going. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and get instant breaking news alerts the exact second Future's legal team issues a response or the federal judge rules on the witness subpoena, you need to take action right now. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and turn on all notification bells so you never miss a single second of this escalating war. We have emergency legal sources tracking every filing in Atlanta and Los Angeles, and our next emergency breakdown video is dropping very soon. Don't get left behind. Subscribe right now, lock in, and stay tuned for the next explosive update.